And the state becomes the sole guarantor of our self-preservation. That's basically what it is. And the symbolism alone is alarming because, you see, these guys know how to wear the devil's horns when it's needed. Because he's animus, remember, right? But we got to realize they don't just work on archetypally, in one area. They are composite. They can put on different masks whenever it's needed. They can be the strong father animus figure when they need to be. But they can also play a little bit of the Thanatos for you if that needs to be. And they can even play a little bit of the devil role for you. But mostly it's animus. Mars, Saturn, the sun, the solar god. But they play with archetypes. Just like, cream floats to the top in milk, well, in politics, scum is what rises to the top. As William S. Burroughs said, we must all face the fact that our leaders are certifiably insane. Or worse. So when the psychopath is then promoted by us to their positions of authority, they don't feel comfortable stewing in their own mess. Their idea is to make the whole world ambiently like what they are inside. Immediately. We call it war, and chaos and all sorts of threats. But they feel good about that. Just like you feel good in a beautiful, harmonious place, you've got to realize that these people feel irritated in that kind of situation. They're psychically deranged. These are psychological monsters. They just happen to be in control of the world. And therefore they will then make the world the sea of chaos that makes them feel real good. But the experts, the scientists know that when you're faced with a life-threatening situation, the reptilian hindbrain, the most primitive part of the human brain, switches off all activity, except that which keeps us alive. It sends the subconscious message, don't move, don't breathe, don't blink, or you'll be seen and attacked. You see? And that's what we do. We switch off. We're in a traumatized situation. Now, of course, we might make the mistake of looking to our little domestic syndromes for the reason for this massive stress. And we often don't really find the answer there. We may do even some cleansing and local homework, and yet it's like normal to be stressed. We don't realize we're like in a culture of stress, like a petri dish. As we said, R.D. Lang said that your insanity, your pathological situation, your stress or whatever, the hypertension, this is a perfectly natural adjustment to a totally unnatural and negative environment. So you can keep on researching your little domestic thing and your little relationship problems. Guess what? That may account for a very small fraction of the real reason why you're in the state that you're in, as a matter of fact. So some people finally start to realize or get a grip on this, what I'm talking about. And you might phrase it like some people say, have I been sold a lie? Becomes a mantra. Because I think something's up here. I don't like what I see. I'm not going to wear a tie-dye and become a hippie, but I'm sure that something's off here. Have I been sold a lie? But the smarter person, the one who's really going to affect change in this world, says the same thing but in a different way. He says, have I bought a lie? Because somebody can sell you something, but you don't have to buy it. When you understand that you've bought into it, that these people have no power at all, they do have control, but you have the power. You give it away. Then you affect change. One is a road to nowhere, and the other one is a road to salvation. Now, of course, we don't even have that. Deal with your dark content. We barely have the time to do the laundry. We barely have time to catch some sleep or take care of our kids, which is by design. That's stress again. In fact, the 4 best-selling drugs in the nation today are for stress-related health problems: ulcer medications, hypertension treatments, tranquilizers and sleeping pills, and antidepressants. As a nation, we spend an astonishing $650 million per year on sleeping pills alone. 4 million Americans abuse prescription drugs and are addicted to tranquilizers, stimulants, and painkillers. When I first visited this country, I knew something was wrong because when you turn on commercial television, I'm watching advertisements for the most contaminated foodstuffs that you could possibly imagine, and the next commercial is about the medical, getting something to fix it. Some poison. I went, what is wrong with this picture? It's okay to vaccinate yourself and eat contaminated foods that a dog wouldn't eat. Because why? Well, we got a doctor that's going to fix it. The person who's murdered their own femininity or masculinity, or who have murdered their own selfhood, Well, how do you think they're going to operate outside? How do you think they're going to relate to everyone else? They may have the persona so that they appear to be normal, but the person who has murdered themselves in their life cannot be expected to exist rationally. As I said, if the ego is the ghost that has arisen from the grave of the self, then expect it to act in ghoulish ways. That now we've established that there's something, first of all, we've established there's deep connections between what's happening in the world politically and what's happening in the inner republic. We discover that the Mayans, in their descriptions, were talking about the last 13-year countdown to the 0 year of 2012, and they described it as an age of revealing when the masks would be coming down. The Bible corroborates that, and they have talking about their apocalypse. But the apocalypse comes from the word, from the Greek, to reveal. In fact, what they really meant was, the apocalypse was a physical thing. Apocalypse was a big leather covering that covered something. That's all it meant. A leather covering. A leather covering. What's the metaphor? Yeah. Your body. The leather covering of the skin of the human being. That's what the apocalypse, and that's why they said the Battle of Armageddon will be fought in the air, meaning it's not physical. It's an intellectual battle. Anyone who's done a little study of the metaphorical, symbolic stuff knows this. The Mayan calendar, says Stephen Hanor, is the only calendar known to be based on galactic cycles. The Mayans claimed that they created this calendar in order to monitor the light coming from the center of the galaxy and how it affected our DNA. We now know, through the work of Fritz Popp, that DNA not only absorbs light, but also emits light. DNA also appears to be the bridge between our physical and etheric bodies. Modern science now realizes that our DNA directly reflects our consciousness, making it possible for us to willfully change our DNA. Now that's magic, and that's true religion. Of course, the slave wants nothing to do with that. He's given away his power to others who do the thinking for him. Consciousness changed my DNA? You mean disease is changeable by consciousness? I don't want to believe that. It's external, it's a bug, it's a virus that's outside of me. I don't want to have anything to do with consciousness. I don't want to think. I don't want to change my consciousness. No. I believe what the FDA and the AMA tell me. But as a matter of fact, the opposite is true. The whole of matter can be transformed and changed by thinking. So when you see these stupid Lego sets that they show you the DNA tree floating in this hyperspace, that's malarkey. That's Hollywood, that's TV. No. The DNA is nothing but an expression of vibration, of energy, affected by thought. It's below thought. Your thinking will transform it. Look at the word enlightenment. And just think for a moment how you've been trained to think of that word. You think of the word light in terms of what? Luminescence. But is there not another permutation of that word light? Think in terms of weight instead of luminescence. An amazing secret will come to you. What is enlightenment? Stop thinking of it in terms of light, because then you have an opposing of darkness. Think in terms of lightness. Yeah. Think in terms of the fool with his feather. The eagle crosses the sky. It doesn't even leave a trail to tell you it was there. The clouds exist without consciousness. They don't wind themselves up in the morning and go, oh God, got to get up and pass the heavens for these monks. They look beautiful. But they're there, aren't they? But are they doing anything? They're not a verb. Said that the whole force of urban industrialism upon our tastes is to convince us that artificiality is not only inevitable, but better. Well, if you won't be a whole person and a whole self, then don't blame history for moving in this direction. Dr. Michael Elner, a hypnotist, said, just look at us. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. Doctors destroy health. Lawyers destroy justice. Universities destroy knowledge. Governments destroy freedom. The major media destroys information. And religion destroys spirituality. Voltaire said, the ancient Romans built their greatest masterpieces of architecture. Yes, for wild beasts to fight in. Human sickness is so severe that few can bear to look at it. But those who do will become well. It means that we have to fall in love with the word no. That simple two-letter word would mean so much in the body politic, in society, and in our slaveries that we involve ourselves in every day, that we allow. Remember I told you it's not about have I been sold a lie, it's have I bought one? When you understand that dynamic, then you're saying no to all tyranny, no matter where it comes from. Vernon Howard said also, we can accept that God becomes man to save man, but we can never seem to accept man becoming God to save himself. And I'll leave you with this from the Hopi elders. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, because we are the ones we have been waiting for.